Okay, it's the day before the opener. This morning, I spotted, I think 4 or 5 does and two forks, 2 fork yearling bucks. Just working through this basin here. I'm set up on this ridge that's sort of in between 2 basins, and been seeing a good amount of deer. Haven't seen a shooter yet, but actually I was just looking over this side of this ridge, and I saw a buck bedded in the timber, and he was a young buck, but he had 3 on one side and a spike on the other, and he's probably about 100 yards from me down there in the timber. So I've seen a decent amount of deer in here. Not a shooter buck, not yet. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow is opening day. Yesterday I got in here, 2,700 feet of vertical gain, 3.5 miles, and I had 85 pounds on my back because there's no water up here. There's literally not even a spring, no streams, nothing. So I know there's some water about 1,000 feet of elevation drop that way, and that's probably where the animals get their water, but it's not really feasible for me. So I've got 4 liters of water left. We'll see how far that gets me. Probably tomorrow and maybe into the next day. But after that, I'm gonna have to go back to the truck and get more water, which is gonna be a death march, or I'm gonna have to find a different spot. But I've been seeing a lot of deer here, and in one day I've seen like 6 or 7, 8 deer, something like that. Definitely all in pretty tough places to stalk. But this one down here, 90 yards, I could kill now. I would just take my shoes off and try and get to 60 or 70. But he's a little bit too young for me. I'm definitely not gonna be picky, but I'm looking for at least a 3x3. Not a yearling buck, so we'll see what happens. I also saw a mountain goat, which was really cool, and a golden eagle. So it's beautiful up here. Last night, typical situation where you're losing light and you need to figure out where you're gonna camp. Man, I camped basically on this slanted little hill, and so my feet were like sliding down the mountain. Did not sleep well. Probably about 3 in the morning. The winds started coming in, like my tent was flying all over the place. So I was holding the center pole and praying for like 30 minutes, and then it passed. But it has not been for the faint of heart so far. But it is beautiful, and I feel pretty good about it. So hopefully we can connect on a buck tomorrow on opening day. We'll see what happens. It's midday. Well, it's actually not midday, it's 3 p.m. So another hour or so, I'm gonna eat dinner and then try and set up on a new glassing spot. See if I can look at both basins. See what we can turn up.
I'm about to fly off the damn mountain. We've got some crazy freaking wind just came in. My tent is hanging on, but barely. Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, it's 10 a.m. opening morning here, and I have not seen a buck yet today. This morning, I did see a doe feeding up on this hillside. Last night, from about 6 p.m. until 2:30 a.m., it was like gale force winds just ripping through my tent. I mean, it had to be like a steady 50-mile-an-hour winds, constant. This was from 6 p.m. till 2:30 in the morning, so it was a long night last night. I felt like I was holding onto my tent like a kite. It was just ripping everywhere. So, best night of sleep ever. Around 4 o'clock, I heard a dirt bike come in somewhere up on the ridge, and that had to be a hunter. I didn't see a hunter on this side, but I did see a hunter on the opposite ridge over there. And I didn't see anything really in this basin this morning, except for one doe up high feeding across. I dipped over this ridge here and checked that buck bed that I saw yesterday, and there was actually a doe in that bed, in that buck's bed. So good to know deer are using it and bedding in there. And then I basically still hunted this entire ridge here. This is a north ridge, but it's east facing. So I did find a bunch of deer beds, probably 5 or 6, and a ton of deer sign along this ridge, but it's east facing, so they're not going to be in those beds in the morning. So I may try and still hunt that again later in the afternoon. We'll see. And then I'm definitely going to check down here later in the afternoon and see if I can find a buck bedded. But I'm pretty much out of water. I have about 1 liter left, so I'm trying to figure out whether I should abandon the spot and try and regroup and find another area. I did see a bunch of deer yesterday, but it was all does and just really young bucks, so don't know. We'll see what happens today. Hopefully I can still hunt into this thick timber in the afternoon and arrow a buck and up. There's the dirt bikes. You hear that? Don't know if those bucks are going to be in there today now. I do have to give those bikers credit. This trail is not easy. I was considering bringing my dirt bike out here and using that to get up here, but after hiking it, I don't think I would have made it, honestly. My bike isn't powerful enough, and I'm definitely not skilled enough to do these kinds of trails. It's serious hard enduro, so got to give them credit. But yeah, unfortunately it's not good for hunting. So I'm just gonna kind of hang out, let the hillsides heat up and those thermals rise, and then I'm gonna just try and still hunt some of this thick timber and hopefully pull up a buck. Okay, we're posted up in this little area above this buck bedding spot. There's several beds down here that deer are bedding in. And once that sun switches over, they're going to start bedding in these beds, so I'm trying to get myself in position for a shot. So we'll see what comes in. Alright, so I waited above that bedding area for about 3.5 hours and nothing came in. So unfortunately we're out of water, so I gotta bail out of this spot.
So we're gonna head back to the truck and regroup, and then probably find a new spot tomorrow. Before I started to descend off the mountain, I ran into that hunter I had spotted on the opposite ridge earlier that day. We struck up a conversation and talked about what we had seen that day. He was scouting some neighboring basins, and he had seen a few more deer than I had. There was nothing that he saw that he was really interested in, but he did mention he saw a cool 3x3 buck. I told him that I had to leave because I was out of water, and that I was probably going to relocate somewhere else within the unit. He said he's been hunting up in these mountains for years, and that periodically he would bring water up and store it to get him through multi-day hunts up in these basins. He pointed out a patch of timber a few hundred yards away and said that there was a gallon of water hidden under a tree stump in there, and that I could have it. I couldn't possibly take some of his water supply, but he insisted. I was taken back by his generosity. A local guy helping an out-of-stater in his hunt area. This wasn't something I would often see in the Pennsylvania big woods, but eventually I accepted his offer. This extra gallon of water would buy me at least another day up in this area, and I'd also be able to make dinner tonight. I was incredibly thankful. We exchanged phone numbers to keep tabs on the bucks in the area, and then we went our separate ways. The guy's name was Russ, and this wasn't the last time I'd see him on my hunt.
Okay, we got that buck bedded 184 yards underneath me. It's still pretty early, so I'm going to let those thermals start to rise. Let the air heat up a little bit before I make a move. He's bedded with another fork buck and 2 does, so it's going to be a tricky stalk. He's got his back to me, which is good. Hopefully he's bedded here for a while. It's only 8 in the morning, so he may switch beds, I don't know. But pretty pumped. Let's see if I can make this happen. can see my arrow. Goddamn. He got out of his bed and fed towards me to 50 yards. Put him on such a slant, my front leg, just trying to stay balanced, was shaking like crazy. So, I don't know. Felt good, it sounded good. What a stalk. I'm gonna give it a few minutes and then go look at my arrow. I did hear a stumble. I did hear a crash a little bit further in there. I don't know. We'll see. Well, found my arrow. Look at that blood, baby. Now we gotta find him. Holy shit. God, I hope it was a good hit. That blood, baby. Look at all this blood here. I'm gonna go get my boots and my pack and back out just in case, you know, it was only a one long shot or something, but I don't know, that looks like a hard shot to me. I'm gonna get my boots and my pack and everything and come back. Whew. Holy shit. That was the most exhilarating hunting experiences of my life. So I bedded this buck down in a perfect spot. He was bedded with another fork about 184 yards down from this ridge, kind of down in that low area. And man, I just stalked in really slowly. I took my boots off, stalked in really slow, got to about 60 yards, and you know, I was just playing. Every time the wind would blow, I would take another couple steps. And the wind was perfect. Those thermals were rising right in my face. And I got to about 60 yards, and he got up out of his bed and he started to feed. He actually started feeding closer to me, about 10 yards. And I ranged him at 50, and he kind of came broadside, slightly quartering to, but pretty broadside. And I put my 50 pin on him, and I was standing on this hill, and my front leg was trying to support me, so I was shaking like crazy. But I felt like the shot broke well. It looked like it was money. It sounded, I heard that pop, it sounded like a long shot. So we'll see. He ran off, started crashing through the timber, and then I think he circled around, and I heard him blowing, so he may have been blowing blood out. I don't know. So fingers crossed. We're gonna go track him, and hopefully we have a buck down. But holy shit, that was amazing. Okay, so I was way up there, and I stalked all the way down to this tree to cover myself, and then I kind of worked down to the edge of that tree there,
and he was down here. Okay, so we definitely got a full pass through. You can see the hair, and you can see the blood. I don't know if it's a hard shot or a long shot. It doesn't look, I don't see bubbles. So, that's not good. It was a clean pass through, which is good. These are their beds. What the fuck? Yeah, that looks like blood there. That's blood. Blood there. 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 Blood here. Stressful. Blood here. Blood there. Blood. Blood here. Blood here. Blood. 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 Whoa. A lot of blood. Drop there. Drop there. Drop there. I blood trailed the buck for almost an hour. 250 yards. The bleeding was sporadic and starting to dry up. This buck was still alive and potentially bedded close by. If he was bedded up and expiring, I didn't want to scare him away further and risk never finding him. I chose to back out and give it some time. When Russ made it down, another hour had passed. With temperatures in the mid-70s, we didn't want to risk the meat spoiling, so we got back on the track. Drop by drop, and at times on hands and knees, we tracked this buck for hours. Losing the blood, we'd split up and grid search until somebody found a drop. Many times at those crossroads, it was Russ that was the one coming up with blood. Or if there was no blood, he would point out stumble marks in the dirt, or track marks where the buck would load up on his front feet before springing over a log. These were signs I never would have picked up. Blood continued to be sporadic, but on a few occasions, we found huge clots of fatty tissue and lung, and then it was gone. Nothing. No more blood, no more tracks. We were stumped. Things were not looking good. So we sat down in the shade and we dropped our packs. We drank some water and had some food, and then after a few minutes, we gave it one last effort. We went back to our last mark, and from there was 2 directions that the buck could have went. I really hope he didn't go left, said Russ. Why? What's left?
He helped me track the second half of this track on this deer through the craziest country. This buck just went off this cliff about about 900 yards, so over a half mile we tracked this deer. At some points just finding little tiny droplets. We took a lunch break, we got back on the trail and we followed him. He's like, I hope he didn't go off that cliff. And sure enough, he did go off this kind of steep area. And we just kept following it, and we're looking down and Russ is like, dude, he's right there. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And we just started freaking out. Unbelievable track. It's now 3:45. I shot him at 9:15. So we got to get down there and get to work quickly. We're on our descent down to this buck through some of the gnarliest stuff. It's even navigatable. Alright, so we found him at the bottom of this, basically this giant cliff.
What do you have to say? You're on video.
Feeling it. Feeling the burn, baby. Oh, fuck.
It's moments like these that we live for the challenge, for the memories, and for the adventure.